I'll first give you a little bit of background about Shahana. I started noticing her in early October and didn't get a chance to talk to her till later that month. But observing her in class, I always noticed that she was quiet and she kept to herself. She's always well dressed, and I could tell she was really into fashion because she was always well put together. She could wear jeans and put a flair to them that made her look like a professional. She's a loner, and she would always seem to be content whether she had anyone around her or not. That day in October was around October 22nd. I actually sat down and talked to her for just a minute in between her classes. I found out she was stressed about honors pre-calc. She was failing and needed that class in order to graduate early, and said that that was the main thing that she was concentrating on and was trying to get that class passed because the other one she was not in any trouble with. I told her that she needed to talk to her teacher and let her teacher know, and see if her teacher would tutor her. She said I hadn't even talked to her yet, that she would do that. Then a ride came up, and so she ended up having to leave because she left early that night. 2 days later, that was Monday, on Wednesday night, I saw her again and was asking her was she able to talk to her teacher about the pre-calc and how it was coming along. She said that she had asked for help and the teacher had agreed to help her. I asked her how her other classes were coming, and said she was stressed over her English project. This was her senior project. She had to make lesson plans and complete a classroom observation and talk to students in a class in an elementary school. We talked about how she accomplished getting the observation done and when she could fit it into her schedule. She seemed to be more relieved after making a plan to get everything accomplished. I talked to Shahana a week later and was asking her again how everything was going and how she was doing. She was still stressing over her math class, but she had completed her project. I gave her a high five and she was elated. I told her to try to spend more time studying math, but she states that she was too lost to even know where to begin to study. On November the 7th, I pulled Shahana out of class and had a long talk to her about school, her family, and her future, because I had not talked with her in depth about her family and what was going on there. She told me about her situation, that she was now living with a friend because she did not want to change schools because her mother had moved with her siblings, with Shahana's siblings, to another small town close by. She also talked to me how great her mother was. Shahana goes on and on about how wonderful her mother is and how helpful she is. But when I try to talk to her about her dad, she kind of she closes down. She didn't want to talk about him. She doesn't know where he is, and she doesn't care to know where he is. So that I know that's hard on her, and her mom is raising all those children by herself. So she doesn't really have time for Shahana. She said that one reason she wanted to go to college was to get a good job. She didn't want to be in the same situation her mom was in. She was really stressed over a pre-calc class because she knows she has to pass it in order to graduate and for her to stay on track for her graduation in December. I told her about another math teacher that is tutoring in the afternoons. We talked about that sometimes math presented in a different way may be easier for some people than another. So I told her about this teacher, and she agreed to get up with her and see if she wouldn't tutor. I talked to her again after that. It was about 2 weeks after that. She was getting a different teacher to tutor her, and she was feeling more confident about the class. This past Friday, November 30th, I asked her how everything was going, and she just smiled from ear to ear and said, I made a 97 on my last math test. She was so elated, but she said, I just can't keep it up. I mean, you can see the confidence level is real low. I encouraged her to keep her chin up and to continue going to tutor and to try to study. But she also works about 19 hours or so a week, along with taking 5 classes in school and also having a life outside. So she has a hard time trying to get everything done. She was concerned about not getting into a college I encouraged her that I and many others attend a community college first before going on to receive their bachelor's. The reason she was concerned is because her GPA is extremely low, because she goofed off she did well her freshman year, but she started goofing off her sophomore year. So we talked about that, and about going to community college was not a failure, that she could continue on. She seemed to be relieved and encouraged, but her heart is set on a 4-year degree. I'll continue working with her and try to help her reach her goals. But Shahana is one that she needs a lot of encouragement, and we just sit down and have talks. I mean, near about every other day. She goes to class Monday and Wednesday. I'll talk to her, and this past Friday I actually pulled her out of her day classes so I could talk to her about making sure she was feeling confident and comfortable about where she was at.